Good morning, friends, and happy Easter. So today's topic of talk is Sermon on the Mount. Those who have read the Sermon on the Mount according to Vedanta by Swami Kripamayananda will know how this Sermon on the Mount is explained. Is explainable by the Vedantists, followers of Vedanta. It's wonderful teachings that Jesus gave. When Jesus manifested himself as the teacher, world teacher, people started to flock to him. And people came in such a huge number from all over the known place at the time, from far away, like from Syria, from even beyond Jordan, and from Galilee, Judea, from Jerusalem, all came to the shores of Sea of Galilee. And there were so huge number of people there. And Jesus wanted to speak because they were recognizing the power in the message of this man. He has established, Jesus had established as the world teacher, as the prophet, as the Son of God by then. And he spoke some, but that day he was inspired to give his real teaching. And but he found the masses are not really capable of taking that, what he wanted to teach that day. Like Swami Vivekananda gave talks, beautiful talks that we read in the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. But after some time, we felt that it's not being fully utilized. I need some core group who will practice the teaching. Listening, understanding, and forgetting is the general principle, general thing that common man does. But Swami Vivekananda wanted someone to practice those teachings. So he also chose a few of his disciples, brought him to Thousand Island Park, and stayed there. There were never more than 12 persons at a time in the 7 weeks that he was there. And he gave wonderful talk that is recorded as Inspired Talks. That book, having Inspired Talks, is also not complete because the writer, S.E. Waldo, says, I could not write everything. When he was speaking, I couldn't miss the words that were coming through it, so that I listen and I write and divert mind in writing. I could not do that. The words are so precious that I just wanted to have it, and I could not jot it down. So those were the inspired moments. Jesus was inspired like that when he gave his Sermon on the Mount. Now it's called Mount of Beatitude, very close to the Sea of Galilee in Israel. Sermon on the Mount is in the Bible according to Matthew chapter 5 to 6 and 7. And it can be divided into 7 topics, as Swami Kripamayananda had done. The Beatitudes, the salt of the earth, resist not evil, be ye therefore perfect. The Lord's Prayer, God and Mammon, straight is the gate. So we cannot cover all this today in our talk, but we'll try to do some, like the Beatitudes. Mainly the Beatitudes is the one where he gives the very core teachings of a spirituality. How to make a man spiritual. Today is the day of resurrection, and rightly the book was read and the song was sung was so perfect according to the time of the talk today. Holding on to God as when you take the journey through this world. If we miss the pole star, the song was, I have now found the pole star and I'm sailing in the sea, I will not miss my way because I have found the pole star and my gaze will be always there and I'll be on the right track. So when pole star is forgotten, we change our way and we are led astray. Then pole star, who is the pole star? That is a God. So holding on to God is the main thing that we'll find the right track in this world. That is one thing that Beatitude says, hold on to God. And another thing is resurrection, as it was read. That resurrection, Swami Vivekananda also taught of resurrection, that Christ has resurrected on Easter Sunday. And the resurrection, every human being has to resurrect from animal, brute, to man. And the progress doesn't stop by becoming a man. We are not just human beings, we are divine. So from brute or animal to human being to God. So that is the resurrection and the evolution of our being. So let's see what Jesus had to say, such a great message, sermon that we gave in the Mount to the chosen few. The first of the sermons says, there are about 8 or 9 of the sermons in Beatitudes, in chapter 5 of the Gospel according to St. Matthew's. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Poor in the spirit. So these are something very glorious quality. And what this poor in the spirit means, we know that poor in the spirit means not proud, be humble. That is the thing. Again, he will say in another place. So it has been always there. First teaching is that if you are poor in spirit, you are blessed. And only then you will be able to take this teaching of mine. Poor in spirit is that when you feel that I am poor, I want to learn, I have many things to get from the teacher. In front of me is the world teacher standing, Jesus, and Jesus is speaking. I am the recipient. Sometimes some people go to the teacher and if they say, I also know, you have to teach me what I want to know. That way the really teaching is done. Teaching and receiving, student-teacher relationship depends on the poverty of spirit in the student, whether it is academic or even spiritual. In spiritual it's more like that. Even in academic field, you have to place teacher in a high pedestal that I will get many things from him. What the teacher will teach, I have learned, I have read the book, that same book he has read. If you say that way, you are not going to learn anything from the teacher. You will miss. So, even in our scripture it is said, if you want to learn something from the wise people, you have to tad vidhi pranipadana. Approach a teacher and pranipata. Prostrate in front of him. That's one thing said in the Gita. Tad vidhi pranipadana. Then, what the prostration means? Physically submitting. That I am helpless. I want your instruction to progress in my life. I have not found the way. I want to be enlightened. And I have found you as my guide. So, physically saying that you are superior. That's called prostration. Tad vidhi pranipadena. Then, pariprasnena. Then you have to ask some questions. Sometimes people say, Swamiji, you have come now, you give some talk, pravatan dijiye. That way pravatan doesn't come. You have to have something, eagerness to know something. Just by teacher goes on speaking and the student don't want to listen, that doesn't happen. So real interest of the student will be seen when there is question answer. When there is question, that is very important. Ask something, what eagerness you have. The whole of Viveka Chudamani is best, it's a book written, but it is written in the form of a question and answer. A student comes to the teacher and asks questions. If you read Upanishads, there is also dialogue between the teacher and the student. The student comes and asks, Lord, teach me Brahman. What is Brahman? I want to know. So like that type of question. And teacher says, Tapasa Brahma Vijigyasasva. She says, know Brahman by austerity, by tapas. Concentration, austerity, like that. So, here also, Sri Krishna says in the Gita that you should be able to ask questions and know that the questions that you will get from this teacher will be the right answer. That much faith you will have to have. Shraddha, Swami Vivekananda said. And that he got from the Kathopanishad that Nachiketa had Shraddha. Shraddha that I am fit to receive and my teacher is fit to deliver. That type of Shraddha then comes to Pariprasna. Then the third quality Gita says is Sevaya. Serve him. Serve him physically. That will be very good, give you good relations. And serve him through mentally by knowing, learning what he taught, try to capture that, try to practice that, try to experience that. That is also great mental service to the teacher. So, by this way, you will get something from the wise people. Tadviddhi pranipadena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshintite jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. Tattvadarshi, who have realized God, who have realized the truth, they will give you something like that. Here also he says, our Jesus says, poor in spirit, have no pride. Sri Ramakrishna says, if the water that falls from heaven collects in the hollow place, if it is a hollow curve, then the water will collect. It doesn't collect on the mount. Hollow gives the example of reception, quality to receive. That's called poor in the spirit. Poor in the spirit is humility. We'll discuss humility later. Next, blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. The mourning, generally we mourn for what? When we lose something. We lose relatives, we mourn. Our grandfather died, so we mourn. Father died, we mourn. We were so sad. Mourning is something when your expression of your mental state, when you lost something. So Jesus doesn't say that mourning here. His mourning is more of a spiritual mourning. When you actually lose your spiritual awareness, mourn for that. That why I am not able to be aware spiritually still. Why I am so poor. Why I am not able to gain the love of God. Why God seems to be so far from me. Why I have not got the right thing. Why I have so much of attachment to the worldly things. It's not only for the worldly, for the relations we mourn for our possessions. Something is lost, then we become very sad. Something we have important a possession, you become so sad, like death of our relatives. Sometimes it happens. You lose your sleep, you lose your peace, and you don't eat. What happened? I lost $1,000 somehow, had gone. You lose everything. So like that we mourn. Swami Vivekananda gives an example that someone was there, he committed suicide. Why? He lost $1 million. And he committed suicide. $1 million is too much, but why he had to commit suicide? That man who committed suicide was a billionaire. Out of $1 billion, he lost $1 million. But that is the mourning thing in him was so intense mourning that he didn't fit himself to live more. So that type of attachment and dependence on the thing comes. We also mourn for loss of our job or loss of our idea about ourselves, what we call upadhi. Somebody says something and we still mourn. Why he was treated that way by my boss? Nothing treating, he was frustrated, we don't think that way. What was the condition of that man? What is being treated? Someone becomes angry someday, doesn't mean I have got bad. Let him say, he can say, he is the boss. So that doesn't mean that I have to mourn for what he said and try to erase that. So, but here mourning is really you feel bad because you have not received God. You have to feel the losing of spiritual awareness in your life, and then only it will come. How much feeling? In Imitation of Christ it said, O Lord God, when shall I be made one with Thee and be molten into Thy love, so that I wholly forget myself? Be Thou in me, and I in Thee, and grant that we may so abide always together in one. So this yearning to have God and become one with God, that is real mourning for God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in one of his poems, he says, when that day will come, when the moment will seem like ages, when eyes will become like the rainy season's water, when this whole world will seem empty because of my separation from You, O Lord, because I am not with You, because I cannot see You. When that day will come by Your lap, I will be able to cry, I will be able to see the world empty, nothing of the world will assuage me, will satisfy me. And when day that will come, when my eyes will just flow, tears will flow from my eyes, and my voice will be choked, and my body will have horripilation is here standing on one end by just taking your name once. I say Govinda, I say Ramakrishna, I say Jesus, and I start so much of love that my ear flows and my voice is choked and my hairs of my body stand on end. When that sort of love will grow in my heart for Thee, O Lord, this type of thing is called viraha, and that is the mourning that Jesus talks here. We know in Sri Ramakrishna's life how he used to rub the ground of Dakshineshwar and bleed profusely, bleeding nose, just saying, Mother, Mother, I am not able to see you anymore. I cannot live without seeing you. That is the mourning that Jesus says, when that mourning is there, blessed are that they mourn, for they shall be comforted. How will they be comforted? When you have that much yearning, that will come to you. God has to come to you. Sri Ramakrishna said that when the child asks some money from mother, and mother says, don't ask now, your father will not like. Mother, I want a kite. I want to buy a kite. So mother is not giving. But child is not relenting. He's asking again and again. And finally says, oh, you have been so much pressurizing. So she goes and opens her cash box with the clock opening, cut, click sound, and then takes out 2 paisa and throws at him, go and buy. Like that relentless praying to God, to have God to me. So that is the mourning. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. That is the humility, meekness. How can meekness understand? How can meek inherit the earth? How can they be so powerful? How can the humble be so powerful? It's always the aggressors, that is what we learn. Be aggressive in life if you want to achieve something. But Jesus said just it's the opposite. How can the meek, humble, that they can inherit the earth? Real humility is not to think yourself lowly. Real humility is to think yourself one of the human beings. That self-confidence. Humility removes arrogance and pride, but brings self-confidence. When you say, I am lowly, that is not real humility. Swami Vivekananda says, humility is not when you crawl with 4 on the ground and treat yourself as like a lowly, even below human being. Real humility is trying to know that you are one with the creation. That you become humble, you have no pride, you feel yourself equal to all. When Nachiketa was asked by his father to go to Yama, to god of death, he said, why my father is sending to death? I am not the third category person. Sometimes I am the best, sometimes I am the second grade, but I am never the third. Bahuna memi prathamo, bahuna memi madhyama. Why my father is sending? But when his father said, he said, there must be some purpose. When my father asked, I will go to death. This Swami Vivekananda said, Shraddha entered into him. A small boy, he will travel to death, fearless of death, not pleading to father, I didn't ask you to send me to death, I will not go. Not that. When my father has said, I have the capacity to know there must be some purpose. I will go and know the death. He goes and meets death and asks questions of death and becomes wise and comes back to the earth. That is the God of Shraddha, that is the humility, that is lack of pride, arrogance, but that is the humility it is said. There is a story that 2 very devotees were there and they used to always treat themselves as the meek. I am lowly, that was their thing. Adham in Bengali they said, I am very lowly. So both of them were going to, one day they were going to the rice field, paddy field, and paddy field had small ridge, 2 sides are paddy grown, and on small ridge one person only can walk. So other person if he has to give way, he has to go down and somehow to give way. So they were met, and one of them said, oh, you have come here, I am very lowly. Another said, no, I am more lowly than you. So they started saying, who is lowly? They started quarreling with that. One said, I am lowly, more lowly. I said, no, I am greater lowly. So those are competing, who is low, more low and more low. And they started fighting. And fighting, they fell on the paddy field, and there was paddy growing on the field. The farmer saw, he came with a stick and said, Why are you quarreling that who is lowly? You both are lowly. Get out from here, he said. You both are lowly, don't fight. So like that, we just want to prove that we are lowly. That's not the real humility. In yoga aphorism it is said, the man who is confirmed in non-stealing becomes the master of all riches. Like the Jesus thing. If you are meek, you shall inherit the earth. How can one who is confirmed in non-stealing becomes the master of all riches? People generally don't steal. What is the non-stealing? Explained there. Non-stealing is non-possessing. Not having greed for anything, not having desire to possess any other thing. When one loses that attraction for the things of the world, that is real non-stealing. Asteya is that. Otherwise we all are practicing asteya. Why is it so important in spiritual practice? We don't go and steal from other person. No civilized person does that. The real asteya is when you have no attraction. You go to a friend's house and see a nice crystal, some glasses, and say, oh, so beautiful. Next day you have to go and buy that because you don't need that. You have a lot of other glasses in your house. I have to buy that one. That is lack of asteya. That is what is called stealing here. You are greedy. Greed is there. It is having no greed. What I have, satisfied, contentment. That is asteya. So those when you have no idea of possession, nothing belongs to you, like that has come. Then you have all the riches of the world. You have everything. You see the nice things in your friend's house, in a relative's house, you see, you enjoy and say, yes, it is beautiful. And you don't feel that it's not with me, with him only. You just enjoy because the idea of possession has gone from you. You have become so humble and that real asteya. Then whatever you see is yours. When thing doesn't become ours, when you feel that it is not mine, then it is not yours. But when everything is yours, the whole world is yours, all cars that are going on the road, BMW and your all this nice expensive car, you don't feel like possessing that, it becomes immediately yours. You enjoy that car, oh nice car going there. The moment you have an idea to possess, you start missing, you start lacking, and then you lose, you are poor by that car. If you don't want that car, you are richer, you have that. That's the idea of saying, not to have any attraction for things that you don't really need. Therefore, this real meekness, what he said here, is self-surrender to God. Lord, I don't want anything of the world. What I lack is actually you. I can't see you, I want to eat with you. My love for you has not yet grown. By that way I'm poor. I don't want anything of the world. So that is the real meekness that Jesus wants to say here, that you want God. Lao Tzu said, that which is soft conquers the hard. Rigidity and hardness are companions of death. Softness and tenderness are companions of life. Softness. That's why Swami Vivekananda used to term mild Hindu. It's very powerful, he said. Mild Hindu is very powerful compared to any other arrogant persons. So this mildness and this accepting, that making all your own, not having been arrogant, that makes the real strength of a person. That's what it is said. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the world. Meekness means without egotism. Next one is, blessed are they which do not hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. What is that righteousness Jesus is talking here? It is definitely not the righteousness of just moral things, that you are doing the right thing. Only that will not fulfill you. Those who do hunger and thirst after righteousness, of this righteousness is being freed from evil. This righteousness is being united with God. This righteousness means salvation. Who hunger and thirst after salvation, after God realization, then only for they shall be filled. When that comes, this yearning comes, then they shall get that. There are many just people who are very morally strong, ethically right, but for them to be filled for God is still one step ahead. to become spiritual, morality is essential. Without being moral and ethical, you can't have the spiritual growth. But only being stuck to morality and ethics, you may not become spiritual. You may not have that divinity manifesting through you in your other acts. You may be very moral and ethical, and it may be very arrogant. You may be very selfish. That may be there. The thing is there. You do everything right. Like some people, you may be very dogmatic. We have heard that there was one big emperor in India. He was so ethical, he didn't spend anything from the kingdom's coffer, he was the emperor, for his personal livelihood. He used to stitch caps, sell that, and whatever small money he got, he used to live with that. Such a wonderful ethical life. You see, the money of the kingdom belongs to the society, belongs to the kingdom. Not for me, it's to maintain the military, it's meant to make the roads, all that. But such an ethical person should be so good. As the history says, he was fanatic, very fanatic for his faith, and so much so fanatic, any other faith, any other religion, he disliked and hated so much, he didn't hesitate even to kill the people who profess other faith. So like that, fanaticism may come in ethical person. So divinity will remove all this fanaticism. Divinity will make you just loving everyone. You love God, you love humanity. You don't care which faith, which idea, which language that person speaks. But you love human being because you love God. So loving God, he was a very great adherent to his religion. But the problem was, he was fanatic. So Swami Vivekananda always warned us against fanaticism, which his time was little there, but now it has become so big in the society. So if we are spiritually rich, as Jesus wants us to through his Sermon on the Mount, these all defects of the human society will slowly be removed, and we all, humanity, will embrace each other as one unity, as humanity, excluding all other religious conflict and differences and the differences of all other things. That's what is the message of Jesus. Be one with God. By that way, you can be really one with the humanity. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, for this righteousness, thirst and hunger for righteousness, you say, cry to him with a yearning heart, and then you will see him. So what should be that thirst and hunger for righteousness? In the Gospel we get this story. One student goes to the teacher and says, can you tell me how should I love God? How much I should love God? So the teacher said, come. And he took the student and they went both to the river. And in the river both went into the water. And when they were up to the west, and suddenly teacher holds the student's head and just puts it underwater. Presses the head of the student under the water and holds it there for a few seconds. And after a few seconds, then releases the head, the student comes up out of water. Then the teacher asked, how did you feel when you were under the water? The student said, oh, I was panting for a breath. I felt I was dying. You helped me so hard. He said, when you have that sort of feeling for God, for loving God, then you will really love God and have the vision of God. That is called hunger and thirst for righteousness. This righteousness is that God, salvation. That's what Jesus means here by that. The next says, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. So, those who are really compassionate, kind, they really fill their heart with mercy, and this mercy will come from God. That's what is promised here. In Yoga Aphorism also it is said, how the humanity can be merciful, how should we behave in the world. Get rid of human weakness, that's what it is said. Be merciful. Get rid of human weakness. What are the human weakness? Envy, jealousy, hatred, When you can be free from those, then only you will have the mercy of God to be with God. Without mercy of God, grace of God, God realization is not possible. But for that you have to be pure by removing all your human weaknesses like hatred, jealousy. That is the thing which makes your mind deformed, and that type of mind agitated. And that type of mind which is agitated and not fit for contemplation on God, not fit for having love for God, will never see God. So you have to be merciful. The hatred and jealousy and envy has to be eschewed. You see, times come when we feel disturbed and angry with others, then we have to analyze. One Swami wrote a very nice article, gave a talk on that. Whenever someone does some insulting things to you, you feel angry to him, always think that that thing has nothing done wrong to you. What you got, the words or insult, were in fact, it was your karma that you earned that. I earned the thing that the person said, all these insulting words. Yes, without your earning, nothing will come to you. So, it might be something you had done in the past and that came through that man. The man who insulted you was in fact like a postman who just brought you some bills. Sometimes the postman brings bill and sometimes check. It's not the postman to be honored or dishonored or become angry. He just brought whatever had been sent to you. You had ordered something that you got. That's what, when you get insult and all abusive things, you get treat that way. That I got it from that person and it was for my good that God gave it. Because I will work my karma away out of that. Something had to be done, I had to suffer, I had to get this, I got it, my karma is gone. So instead of getting retaliatory action towards that man, you say thank you in your mind. Don't say thank you in the face because you become angry. You don't want to really agitate and disturb that person. Just thank him in your mind and say, Lord, I will praise, and just ignore that person and think that you have got it. By that we can get rid of the feeling of hatred, jealousy, because in the world we'll have some people who are favorable, some people who are unfavorable. So how to deal with the unfavorable, difficult person that we call in the world? So that way we can deal with the difficult person, taking that, oh, he's difficult and God has given me so that I may grow. So Tulsidas says, always keep some people who criticize you. Ninduka niyere rakhiye, Kabirdas. Ninduka niyere rakhiye, angan kuti chabay. Always keep some person who criticize you close, keep them close. Maybe in your courtyard or in your house or just near you. Angan kuti chabay. Binu pani binu sabuna. Binu pani binu sabuna nirmal kare suhai. What they do? They clean your heart without water and soap. To clean your clothes, you need water and soap. You don't need anything. Just let them be there. They will criticize your every act, but you will be gradually purified in your heart. Because He will teach you how to endure in unfavorable situations, how to endure this, how to be free from envy and hatred. That slowly you have to learn that, and that person will be the test of how much pure you have become. Without that, purity has no meaning. You are pure by cleaning, wearing nice clothes and washing daily and washing your hands. They say now 50 times a day, try to wash your hands, that thing are coming. That doesn't make you pure. You have to make your heart pure, and heart will be pure when there is no hatred and envy and jealousy and greed in your heart. And that will come, and the test will be that person who criticizes. Thank him for that. Tulsidas himself thanked his wife who abused him very much. He went to his wife, who was he used to love his wife very much, and he went crossing all hurdles, a flooded river, and he swam that and went to his wife's house. Wife had gone to her parents' home. And wife, seeing Tulsidas, he said, "What have you done? You are so attached to me. If we had a fraction of that attachment to God, you have received God. You would have got God." Then Tulsidas was very shocked for him. He had gone with love and with all sorts of feeling and taking all the troubles in the way which would take his life. Danger situation he had crossed. And finally this treatment from wife. And then he really went in search of God and found Rama, his Ishta, and then thanked his wife for giving that insult to him that day. Without that, he would not have served God. So these insults and these harsh words can be utilized in that way. When we get the criticism, just make that. The clock in front of me is not working with the Sermon on the Mount. It just stopped. It wants me to speak more. In our scripture it says, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshana, Sukha-dukha, Punya, Apunya, Vishayana. So how we can get rid of this feeling of our heart? It says, when you see someone happy, don't feel jealous. Don't have envy. But be friendly toward that person. Rejoice that that person is happy. Can you develop this friendliness toward a happy person? Then you are becoming pure. And you are practicing mercifulness. And when you see another person's suffering, dukkha, is full of suffering, then don't say, oh, he was saying this to me, it has been good that he is suffering. Don't say that. But have the feeling of karuna, mercy, compassion, pray to God. Forget what he has done to you. Because that is the way you become merciful, you become compassionate. That Maitri, Karuna, for in the case of Sukha and Dukkha. Then if we see some very virtuous person, very good person doing a lot of good works, Mudita, rejoice, be happy. That person is doing such a wonderful work in life. Don't be jealous for another person achieving something. Someone gets something, that rejoice for that. Oh, he got this prize, he was awarded, he was received and thing done. Be in every case, not only to unknown persons, not only to your countrymen, but for all humanity, even to persons particularly really whom you are connected with and whom you feel that there is little competition. When they get this thing, some reward, rejoice in that, mudita, when they have done something good. When someone does wrong thing, what should we do? Should we disturb? Some cruelty, some wrong may not be to you, some others. It says, the Shastra says, upeksha, maitri, karuna, mudita, upekshana, sukha, dukkha, punya, apunya, vishayana. When something is apunya, just try to ignore that. You feel bad in your heart, no doubt, but always know that there is divinity in that person. The divinity is hidden by his cruel words, and one day he might manifest that divinity. So by that way, you just ignore his cruel deeds and don't get disturbed. Feel a little bad for cruelty, that everyone will feel. But Swami Vivekananda had to wake up at morning when he found there was earthquake and many people died. That will be there. But don't harp and don't be rude on any other person's cruelty. Cruelty towards you, wrong towards anyone. Just try to pray for that. That is the way you can become merciful. Next is, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. It is very important. Purity in heart is the only way by which we can see God. And what is being said in all these 4 or 5 these sermons are all towards the purity of heart. Mercifulness, meekness, this lack of egotism, lack of... all these are the sign of purity. So it says that lead a moral and ethical life, but leading only moral and ethical life is not all to realize God. Moral and ethical life is like a foundation on which the superstructure is made. So you lead a moral and spiritual, moral and ethical life, and yet you don't have hankering for God, or hankering for your inner growth, hankering for spiritual awareness. Then you have stopped at the level of foundation. The structure is not made. So after that, the structure has to be made. So this purity we all know, being rid of all weaknesses is the purity. How to become pure? To become pure, think of purity. What is the condensed purity? That we call God. Think of God and try to test how much pure you are. The Swami Prabhupada says, try to think of God. And if you are really pure, then your mind will be fixed on God. When you find your mind is there for a flash of a second and it then goes to other things of the world, then know that by that amount you are yet to attain that purity. There is scope of attaining purity that much. If when you are pure, your mind will be fixed on God. Basic causes of impurity, it says, why we are impure. The basic cause of impurity is our ignorance of our real nature. We are pure. So, but we forget that and we think we are this body and mind complex. And that thing is called avidya, forgetting ourselves, ignorance of our real nature. That is ignorance. With that ignorance, forgetful of our real nature as one undivided, pure consciousness and considering ourselves as this body, separate from other things, that brings asmita, I-ness. I and you comes. When you forget you are all. Then asmita comes. With this I-ness comes, among you divide the world into two. Something you like, something you dislike. Raga and dvesha. The first thing of this impurity origins from forgetful of your real nature. And with that thing, you are still getting impure, and then comes the fifth one, the Shastra says, is avinivesha. You're clinging to life. You want to cling to this body and mind and think that this is alone is the life. There is you never die, that you forget and you consider your body to be yourself and you cling to life, and all this is impurity. This clinging to life is impurity. Excessive attachment to the things you like is impurity. Hatred or envy to the things you don't like is impurity. And your I-ness for this body-mind complex is impurity. And this cause of all impurity is avidya or ignorance of your real nature. This avinivesha is described in Buddhism by Buddha as tanha. You always want to live in this body. And Christ said, whosoever will save his life shall lose it. So, living is okay. You want to live this life, but what for? There should be some purpose of life. Just to go on living without any purpose is no use of life. Either you do give something through your research, through your work, through your looking after a family, and the best utilization of life is to realize God. I want to love God, as Sri Ramakrishna said, to define mother. Mother, if I could eat something, he had cancer and he was in a very bad state, and he couldn't even eat. Mother, if you give something me, I could eat something, so that I could talk about you to the people. That much he said, so that you can talk about God, you can think about God. So for that is this life important, no doubt, but not for other purpose. How to be pure? There are some instructions. The first thing is love God. Think of Him, take refuge in Him. That is one sign of purity. You think of God as much as you can and take refuge fully in God. Lord, you are my all in all. For that, just say, Tomeva Mata Chapirata. You are the only, you are my father, you are my mother, you are my everything, you are my wealth, learning. There is nothing other than you for me important in life. That is the direction to attain purity. Hold on to pillar of God. So always do everything thinking about God. Everything what you do and act and think, you should bring God as the central thing. As they say, when you hold on to pillars, Sri Ramakrishna said, and you just spin around, you don't fall down, like making that pole star as your guiding star, the song said. Then you don't lose your way, you don't fall down. So hold on to God as a pillar of life. Another way to make yourself pure is think that you are already pure and divine. You are not a sinner. We often think ourselves, oh, I am weak, I am lowly, that type of thought. Meekness is not that. To think yourself as a sinner is really not becoming pure. So, we might have done some mistakes, which we will call sin. But don't think, papo ham, papa karma ham. I am sin. I have done all sinful work. Papatma, papa sambhava. Whatever papa sin is there, I have done. Even in our scriptures it is there. And Sri Ramakrishna disliked this thing in Bible. He said, I had someone read Bible to me. And there is always sin and sin and sin. Why they say talk so much about sin? You should talk about purity. You should talk about divinity. Thinking about divinity, you will become divine. Because you are basically divine and pure. Don't harp much on sinfulness. Sri Ramakrishna said, admit your sins to the Lord and vow not to repeat them. Purify body, mind and tongue by chanting His name. You see, chanting God's name, it purifies not only your thought, but it purifies your tongue, your mind and your body. The more you move towards light, the farther you will be from darkness. Jesus like this said in the sermons, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for there is the kingdom of heaven. You will find the stories of how people could give their life. Tegh Bahadur, the Emperor of India, said, you give your religion and convert to my religion. Then he said, I'll think tomorrow. Then I will not do that. And then next day he was to be beheaded. And when they took him behead, there was written a small piece of paper near his body, Sir diya but sar nahi diya. I gave my body, my head, but I didn't give my faith. That much of this thing. For righteousness' sake, if you are done, Guru Bahadur is one of the Gurus of Sikhs. Always remember and pray. So, next is, blessed are ye when man shall revile you and persecute you and say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. So don't be afraid for anything. If you are a real devotee of God and God with you, let people say whatever they like, doesn't matter. That with strength. And you are blessed if people do that to you and you hold on to me. The two things are ananyas chintayanto mam. That is important. You have to hold on to me as nothing secondary, only me, and then let what happen. You will be rewarded. Blessed reward. Rejoice, he says. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they, the prophets, which were before you. I told about Guru Nanak, and there is so much story of this persecution. In other stories, you have the Baha'i faith. You will find many Baha'i leaders. The first leader, the founder of Baha'i faith, was also persecuted like that. So, for the sake of God, we should be ready to suffer or take anything that comes in life. Swami Vivekananda says, are you so much devoted to your Guru? How much you are devoted? I said, I am devoted. Whatever you say, I will do. You are my Guru. And faith that Guru will ask me to do only good. That will make me good. And Swami Vivekananda said, if I say to you this time, go to that tree, the palm tree, climb up and jump from there. You should be able to go and jump, knowing in the heart of your heart with certainty that when it is said by my Guru, it will do my good and nothing else. There is something good in my going to the palm tree at the top and jumping from there. By then I may hurt myself, it may be my death, but that is definitely good for me because Guru has said. Like that, when you are persecuted in the name of God, there is definitely going to be something good. So I end with the Lord's Prayer. That's also a part of the Sermon on the Mount. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.